Hi, if you're new to my channel, my name is Jamie Glowacki and I'm the author of Oh Crap Potty Training and Oh Crap I Have a Toddler. And I teach parents how to use curiosity and connection instead of compliance and coercion in their parenting. So today I want to talk about parental dysregulation. So our kids get dysregulated all the time, but if we as parents get dysregulated right alongside them, we cannot co-regulate. And co-regulate is lending our children our calm instead of our chaos. However, if what they've done or said has triggered us and activated us, we go into our sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight, flight, or freeze. And we add fuel to the fire and we actually give our children our chaos instead of calm. And as you know, that ends up in usually like catastrophic things that come out of our mouths, things like you always, you never, we go into psycho mom, we start yelling, those kinds of things. And then all gentle parenting, all responsive parenting, all respectful parenting goes out the window. So today I want to give you 4 ways that you can get regulated as soon as humanly possible so that you can be back present with your child. Kids are going to dysregulate all the time. Kids are learning, especially our toddlers, they are going to be disrespectful. They're going to hit. They're going to have impulse control problems. They're going to have spur of the moment tantrums and meltdowns that you can't even explain. And what happens in those moments is there's no teaching. We literally have to weather that storm while it's happening. And we want to weather that storm, again, with as much calm as we can. And that allows our children to have their big feelings. And then once they're calm and once we've co-regulated with them, then we can give them the lessons and the teaching. But once those storms hit, you have to just surf that wave. So it's really important that we have tools when we feel particularly activated. So the very first thing is your child does something. Maybe they throw something at you. Maybe they just have a meltdown in the grocery store. Maybe they say something or do something very disrespectful. And the very first thing we have to do is pause. That is key, but that is one of the hardest things in those moments. So one of the first things you have to do is recognize that you're getting dysregulated. For me, I have a thermometer that runs kind of all through my body and it heats up really fast. I get red in the face. For some people, it gets in their shoulders. For some people, it's in their hands, and it happens very quickly. So you have to kind of learn your body and learn that it's happening, right? Then you have to pause before anything comes out of your mouth. Now, for me personally, that's what happens. Bad stuff just comes out of my mouth. And so I've learned over the years, not just with parenting, but in any conflict, I have to pause. And with my child, with your child, I think it's one of the best things you can do to pause is literally suck in your breath. It reminds me to just suck it in for a minute, right, before it spews out. But also that sharp intake can actually like make your child stop and go like, what's up, right? And so it's this moment where we have like, okay, everybody has a second here. And in that moment, I just remember, don't say anything yet. And then that just literally helps me calm down. Which brings us to the second thing you can do to co-regulate, or to at least get yourself regulated so you're available to co-regulate with your child, and that is breathing. There are so many breath practices out there. Choose your own. Wim Hof has some great ones. I personally like box breathing. So box breathing is when you intake for 4, you hold your breath for 4, and then you exhale for 4 and hold your breath for 4. So we can do a practice round right now, okay? So it's that's it. If you do 2 or 3 rounds of this, it literally activates your parasympathetic nervous system and brings you to a state of calm. Again, the bonus here is that your child may pause because they're like, what is she doing, right? You can also teach your child to do this so they can start to regulate their own bodies. And of course, with a child, it may be a smaller count. Maybe it's a 2 count, but you can teach them so you can breathe together. If you get that pause from your child, maybe you can put their hands on your heart so they can feel your heart beating. It's this wonderful moment where we've just given a timeout to whatever's happening in the moment. The third thing you can do to regulate as soon as possible is to hum. This stimulates the vagus nerve, which also brings your parasympathetic nervous system into play. So you can hum anything. If you like to hum, you can do that. You can also sing. Do you hear the people sing, singing the song of angry men? It is the music of the people who will not be slaves again. For me, I love Broadway show tunes. I like big company numbers. It's marching, it gets it out. Again, we may get a pause from your child. Maybe they'll sing along if it's a song they know, but that activates the vagus nerve, which automatically helps you. Now, the vagus nerve also comes into play for the fourth thing. So when we get, when we're in our sympathetic nervous system, when we get triggered, what happens is we go into fight, flight, or freeze. And automatically, because our body senses there's danger, even though this is your 3-year-old and there may not be actually imminent danger, our vision gets very pointed, right? Because if you think about it, evolutionarily, we'd be like focused on the tiger, getting away from the tiger when we sense fear. So what we want to do is we want to broaden our eyesight. So one of the best things you can do, if available, is get outside. First of all, there's fresh air. There's a change of scenery. You're doing something. I'm sure your child will follow you. And you can immediately look at the horizon and open your vision, which again brings you into that parasympathetic nervous state, okay? And that is what we need. Getting outside is awesome whenever there's a big moment like this. Again, if available, it's not always available, but just being outside. Once you're calm, you can actually ask your child, once you're outside, hey, can you find 5 green things? Can you find a bird? You can look around and find things so your child gets a little distracted. They also get out of their sympathetic state and start looking around, and this can bring them to a state of calm. The most important thing to remember about all 4 of these things is we're not trying to fix the child. The child is going to have big emotions. The child is going to get dysregulated. This is about us and taking care of our nervous system so we can be there to co-regulate and again, weather that storm. So we're not changing the child in this moment. We can't change any other human's behavior. What we can do is change our reaction to it. And then of course we work on those skills when we're in a non-hot moment. So I hope you guys found that helpful. If you did, please share this video, like, subscribe, you know the drill. And if you have any questions or comments, hit me below.